Hi everyone, and welcome to week 1 of sock season, the 1st through 7th of October, or as is affectionately known in the knitting community, Socktober. I'm Carol, host of a Stitch in Time podcast, and I can be found on Ravelry as Knits and Pearls. I really love to knit socks. In fact, according to Ravelry, since 2007, I have knit more than 350 pairs of socks using more than 120,000 meters of yarn. You might say I'm obsessed. The irony is, there was a time that I swore up and down that I was never going to become a sock knitter. I just didn't understand the appeal. In the mid-2000s, I worked for a yarn shop, and I decided that I really should learn how to knit a sock in order to help customers who came in for assistance. And so I cast on a pair of socks for my father-in-law using Peyton's Croy and double-pointed needles. I know I got at least as far as the heel turn. I probably even worked my way through the gusset, and then I set them aside. I just did not enjoy the process at all. And unfortunately, my father-in-law never did receive a pair of hand knit socks from me. It was sometime later that I decided to try again. I had some leftover DK weight yarn from a sweater, and the yarn company had a free leaflet for socks knit out of the same yarn. And so I decided to give it another go. And this time I used the magic loop method. And what a difference. I enjoy the process so much more. I can't remember if I had knit another pair of socks after that, but my youngest son asked me if I would knit a pair for him. And how can you refuse a request like that? And so I grabbed the yarn that I had originally bought for my father-in-law, and I cast on again, this time for a pair of socks for my son. And I did finish them. A side note, a few years later, he decided he didn't really wear them, and he passed them on to my husband, who wore them for many, many years. And I think that they finally gave up the ghost just a year or two ago. In any case, that was the beginning of my sock knitting adventure. And in 2007, I joined Ravelry and became part of the Sock Knitters Anonymous group. Each month there were challenges, and we were encouraged to try new techniques, new designers, new yarns. And so month after month, I tried out different cast-ons and heels and toes and stitch patterns and yarns and colors that were out of my comfort zone. And I expanded not only my sock knitting knowledge, but my knitting knowledge in general during that period of time. And I have never been without a sock on the needles since. I always have at least one plain vanilla sock on the go. And through all of that sock knitting, I discovered my preferences for top-down socks on a 2mm needle with a traditional heel flap and gusset and rounded toe. That is my go-to plain vanilla sock, but I still continue to knit pattern socks and to try different techniques. So I really love to wear hand knit socks, which comes in handy, and I always look forward to when the weather turns cooler and I get to wear my hand knit socks again. I enjoy each morning choosing my pair of socks for the day. I often match them to my top, though most people would never know that. Sometimes I just pick out my favorite pair, or the brightest color, the one that's making me feel happiest that day. If I ever needed proof that I am a process knitter, I only have to look at the dozens and dozens and dozens of patterned socks that I have never worn. I have found that I much prefer to wear plain vanilla socks, and those are the ones that I am most likely to reach for each day. Last year, I went through all of my socks and reorganized them and vowed that I was going to wear my patterned socks, and I failed miserably. And so I've made that promise to myself again for this sock season. Back in December last year, I did Vlogmas, and one of the things that I did each day was talk about one of the pairs, talk about the pair of socks I was going to wear that day. I had one for each day of the holidays, and everyone seemed to really enjoy that segment. So it occurred to me that maybe you would enjoy seeing what socks I wear each day, at least for the foreseeable future. I have planned out 5 weeks of sock season so far, featuring 4 seasons of the Handmade Sock Society by Helen Stewart of Curious Handmade, and also some assorted pairs of autumn and Halloween themed socks. So if that sounds like something you'd be interested in, then stay tuned for this week's socks and look ahead to a new episode each week of October. And who knows, if this proves to be a success, then I may continue on throughout the rest of sock season, which usually reaches into March or April around here. So get yourself comfortable. I'm going to introduce you to 7 pairs of socks for this week. I will provide links to all of these socks to my Ravelry project pages down below here on YouTube, and also on the blog and in the A Stitch in Time podcast Ravelry group. And there will be links for those also down below on YouTube. So I'm going to take a sip of something and let's get going. So the first Handmade Sock Society occurred in 2018, and the theme was botanically inspired socks. The first of those were the Winter Rose socks. And I used the Alpaca Yarn Company Paca Peds HT, which I think may stand for high twist, in the color 627 Eggplant. So a Winter Rose is also known as the Christmas rose or the Lenten rose, and its actual name is hellebore. I learn all sorts of things through my sock knitting experience, because I've learned lots of neat little facts doing these Sock Society collections. So I'm going to bring this in closer so you can see it. It is a lacy ribbed design with a 1x1 twisted rib cuff and a coordinating heel and toe. Now, sock blockers are great for showing off finished socks, but it's not quite the same thing as seeing a pair of socks on a real live person. And so I've taken a little video of each of these pairs of socks so you can see how it actually looks on my feet. The second pair of socks from the first Handmade Sock Society was the Magnolia socks. I knit these from Cherry Tree Hill Super Sock Solids in the Blossom colorway. And you can see once again a 1x1 twisted rib cuff. This is Helen Stewart's favorite cuff, as I have discovered. And as you can see, there is a lace and cable pattern that runs down the front of the sock, and then features a plain stockinette back and a traditional heel flap and gusset. For most of the socks, I substitute in my own rounded toe, just because I know it fits me well. So once again, I will insert some footage of me wearing these socks. Pair number 3 is the Astrantia socks, knit from Dream in Color Smooshy in the Punky Fuchsia colorway. This is mainly a plain stockinette sock, but you can see on each side features a little textured lacy stitch pattern. Once again, you see a 1x1 twisted rib cuff and a short row heel. So here you can see me modeling this sock for you. Sock number 4 is the Honeybee Dance socks. I knit this sock from yarn from Black Cat Custom Yarns, which is a local to me dyer, and it's in the champagne colorway. I received this yarn as a gift from my youngest son one year for Christmas. It was part of their sock club that year. So I'm going to bring this a little bit closer so you can see the lovely, again, lace and cable pattern running down the front of the sock. This time we had a 2x2 rib cuff and a traditional heel flap and gusset. Here you can see how they look on my feet. The 5th pair is one of my favorite socks from the collection. These are the Red Robin socks. The main color is Knit Picks Stroll Fingering in the Dove Heather colorway. And then the contrast is Cascade Heritage Sock in color 5607 red. So you can see once again a 1x1 twisted rib cuff, this really fun textured pattern that runs all the way down the sock, contrasting traditional heel flap and gusset and toe. And here you can see me wearing them. The 6th and final pair of socks from the first Handmade Sock Society collection are the Hazelnut Socks, and this is another of my favorite pairs from this collection. I knit them from Magpie Fibers Swanky Sock in the Hell's Bells colorway. I bought this yarn when I was on a little weekend away with my husband down in Washington State. I got this at the yarn shop in Carnation, Washington. And it wasn't until I was winding the yarn that I realized that the colorway name, Hell's Bells, is the same as Helen Stewart's Ravelry name. So I thought it was very fitting. Bring these in a little closer so you can see the beautiful textured pattern that runs down the outside of each of the socks. Once again, a 1x1 twisted rib and a traditional heel flap and gusset. And finally, the last sock of the week. These are the Life Cycle socks by Star Athena. I knit them from Hazelnut's Piquant Light in the Honey colorway. And I knit these back in September of 2017 for the Grocery Girls Sock Bash. I knit a pair of socks for each month during that year for their sock knit along. I was looking at my notes for these socks and it said that they were challenging to knit, in part because the stitch patterns were very intricate and also apparently it had really teeny tiny charts that were hard to read. I substituted lifted increases and I adjusted the placement of the worm stitch on the leg. So I will bring these in a bit closer again so you can see this gorgeous, I'm going to turn this sideways on the thing, this gorgeous pattern running up the front of the sock, and then it features this worm stitch on the back and this twisted rib that, as you can see, comes down in a V on each side of the sock. So yeah, not an easy knit, but definitely worth it. And once again, I will put a little video here of me wearing these so you can see them from all angles. So that wraps up week 1 of sock season. I hope you enjoyed seeing the socks that I'm going to be wearing this week, and be sure to tune in next week to see week 2's selection. If you like this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and you can check out the regular episodes of A Stitch in Time podcast, which get uploaded on a mostly weekly basis, depending on what's going on in my life. So I hope I will see you there too. Thank you so much for watching. Bye now.